Being a physician isn't just about diagnosing diseases or prescribing treatments. It's about standing at the crossroads of life and death, sometimes with only seconds to decide what. That's right. I'm a doctor. I've seen things that don't always fit into textbooks, moments that no protocol can prepare you for. Some of these stories are my own. Others were shared with me by colleagues, nurses, paramedics, people who, like me, carry the weight of these moments long after the shift ends. This channel is a window into those stories. The ones we talk about in the break room when no one's watching. The ones that stay with us. In today's story, I'll tell you about a patient I'll never forget. An elderly woman with a tattoo. And a decision that still haunts me. It started on an ordinary Tuesday. It's a kind of day where you just want to finish your shift, grab a coffee, and go home. But in medicine rarely gives you ordinary days. This is the story of a life nearly lost, a son's desperate hope, and a tattoo that forced me to choose between what's legal and what's right. Let me take you back to that moment. It was Tuesday, 5:34 a.m. I remember the time clearly because I had just poured my first cup of coffee, though it definitely wouldn't be the last when the ambulance pulled up. The back doors flew open with urgency. One of the paramedics jumped out almost midair and swiftly lowered the stretcher to the ground. That's when I saw her. It's a woman in her 60s. Her skin was pale, her eyes half open, and despite the oxygen mask tightly strapped to her face, she was clearly struggling to breathe. The paramedic only said sudden shortness of breath, hypotensive. Oxygen sat at 82% with oxygen. No companion. My mind immediately raced. Pulmonary embolism. Massive me. Something serious was coming. I ran beside her as we rushed through the ER hallway. While assessing her, I barked out the initial order's vitals. Okay, oxygen, and get her to urgent care. Now in the ER, you don't get the luxury of time. Every second matters. We started protocol. For access, blood samples, ECG, arterial blood gases. The nurses moved like clockwork while I continued examining her, searching for any clinical clue that could guide me to a diagnosis. And that's when I saw it. One detail froze me for a second. Just one. She had a tattoo on her chest. It read, DNR, Do Not Resuscitate. And at that exact moment, the monitor alarmed. Ventricular tachycardia. The kind you never want to see, especially not in someone with no family present. And a DNR tattoo on her chest. My body reacted before my mind could debate it. I called out, bring me the defibrillator. She was about to crash. And in those few seconds, while the nurse brought the machine, I stood at a crossroads. Do I respect the tattoo? Or do I try to save her? The law here is vague. There was no signed order, no documentation, just ink. A strong message, but not a legal one. My brain was on fire with questions. What are my obligations? What if this was her true wish? But what if it wasn't? My duty as a physician is to preserve life, but above all, to respect the will of the patient. And yet, this wasn't clear. The defibrillator arrived. The nurse prepped the chest, glanced at the tattoo, then looked me in the eyes and asked, Are you sure? I looked back at her. I nodded. Clear the zone, and I shocked her. We checked the monitor response. We started full resuscitation for medications, compressions, airway management. Then came the second shock. This time, the monitor changed. A normal rhythm appeared. Her blood pressure returned. She was still unconscious, still critical. She was alive. We managed to stabilize her. She was sedated and intubated. As the adrenaline wore off, I took a breath, but my mind was spinning. Had I done the right thing? We were preparing to transfer her when a young man, early 30s, burst into the ER. He was out of breath, sweating like he'd just run a marathon. His eyes were swollen from crying. I'm her son. Is she alive? Please. I placed a hand on his shoulder and looked him in the eyes. I began explaining the situation. That she had come in critical and that we had noticed the tattoo. Before I could finish, he interrupted me. His voice cracked. No. That tattoo, it was from a different time, when she was depressed. She didn't want to live back then, but she changed. Months ago, she never got it removed. But she didn't want to die anymore. He stared at me with tears in his eyes. Please, tell me you didn't let her go. That moment broke something in me, but it also filled me with quiet relief. Told him we had acted, that she was stable, though still critical. He thanked me again and again for ignoring the tattoo. She was alive, but the uncertainty remained what damage had been done. Would she wake up? Over the next few days, I often crossed paths with her son in the hallway. Always hopeful, always waiting. Then one morning, as we were talking outside her room, a nurse rushed over. "Doctor, she's awake." We ran into the room. She looked weak, disoriented, but conscious. Our eyes scanned the room until they landed on her son, and then she smiled. A small, soft smile. And with the faintest voice, she whispered, "Thank you for not giving up. I still don't know if what I did was legally right, but I know it was right as a doctor, and more importantly, as a human being. Not everything in medicine is in the books. Sometimes your conscience makes the call alone, in seconds that feel like eternity. That day I made a decision I'll carry with me forever. I'd make it again." What do you think? It was the right decision. What have you done on that situation? Read you in the comments.